And we're back. Welcome to the Friday Family Film Night podcast. Doing things a bit differently this time around. The missus is not with us. So it's just me and the kids. And today we are going to discuss the 1988 anime film Grave of the Fireflies in honor of apparently National Sibling Day. So
that's why she had us?
That's why your mom chose this movie.
This is a terrible movie to choose for the holiday. Oh, my God.
What are you talking about? Stop it. It's about the love of a brother for his sister.
Dude, they both die.
Well,
all right.
That's true, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, the whole film is him looking out for her.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a film from 1988. Directed by Isao Takahata, one of the co-founders of Studio Ghibli. And, let's do things a bit differently. Olive, what was this film about?
Depressing story about two orphans who basically lose everything and die at the end.
And when does it take place?
World War II.
Okay. Gee, what do you think about this movie?
I guess I'd say I enjoyed it. It was really depressing.
This film has like a huge reputation for being just brutally depressing and sad.
Upsetting.
Do you feel like it lived up to that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like Olivia said, the two kids, they lose everything. They have nothing by the end of the movie. They just sort of like waste away, sort of. It's really like hard to watch.
Do you think it would have hit harder if they didn't have that bit in the beginning at the train station? Like, well, it was a train station,
I
right?
think
There were
so. It was
people
a
walking
train
around
station.
cleaning stuff up.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe if they had just started out like immediately rather than having that sort of like.
Yeah, it kind of, to me, it felt like it kind of gave it all away in the
It did a
beginning.
little
And
bit.
I think it would have probably been way more brutal if you just watched what happened and you saw it happen as it happened.
I guess I'd agree with that.
Olive, what do you think?
What was the question?
The very beginning of the movie, there's like that little bit in, I guess it's the train station where Seita. Do you think if they hadn't put that in, that it would have had more impact at the end?
Probably, because when I saw that scene, I was just like, okay, don't get too attached to these characters because they're all going to die.
Yeah, I mean, that damaged it in my eyes because instead of me going along for the journey of watching these kids and basically hoping that something good happens, I felt that I was basically just waiting for them to die the entire movie.
Yeah, I felt the same. It was just sort of like you're waiting for their doom, basically. It was sad.
What do you guys think of the two main characters?
I liked their bond. I liked how he always looked out for her. They were young. They didn't really know much. But like when they left their aunt's house, I was like, God, if you guys just stayed there. Although she wasn't nice to them.
Yeah, she was kind of she wasn't the nicest lady, but I mean, given the situation
Given the
surrounding,
circumstances, yeah, I mean, they're in the middle of war. They were a little naive, maybe, thinking they could live right by the pond. But
Liv, do you feel like Saito was responsible for Setsuko's death?
I mean, not really. He tried his best with what they had.
There was a scene where they're speaking to a farmer, asking him for help, and the guy says, "Why don't you just go apologize to your aunt?" Why do you think Saito didn't want to do that?
Because he's a stubborn little kid.
So do you think that his stubbornness was partially responsible for their downfall?
Maybe. I mean,
What would you have done?
probably would have stayed with the aunt.
What about you, G?
I would have stayed with her too. I don't want to say that he was responsible, but yeah, like Olivia said, his stubbornness definitely played a part in it. I think not just them being naive. He was a little. I think he felt like he should be responsible, like he was an adult. Their mom was gone, and he figured if he held out long enough, if he acted adult-like, or if he took care of her long enough, they could wait until their dad came back, and he would never have to go back to live with the aunt. But you find out the dad's not coming back.
Yeah, you'd figure after the guy didn't answer for weeks.
Yeah, he might have figured it out, but maybe he just didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
This was sad.
It was sad. Does this give you an idea of what it would be like to live through a war?
Yeah. Although I got a pretty good idea of what it was like to live through a war, because in history class, we were learning about like trench warfare and how they would live and like sleep in there, and they would like catch these big fat rats and like to play like games to keep themselves entertained because there was nothing to do.
What would you do if suddenly there were bombs raining down on us and you and me and your mom got blown up? Would you be relying on G? Where would you go? What would you try and do?
I mean, I guess I rely on Grace since she's the older person. So, like, she's more responsible than I am.
Okay. What would you do, G?
I'd have to take care of Olivia, I guess.
I guess.
I guess.
All right, well, obviously, I find, like, relatives who are still alive. To be honest, a thing that sort of peeved me about the movie is that they separate from the mom. The mom starts moving to the shelter before kids do. I was going to say while we were watching the movie, I was like, why the hell didn't she go with them?
I found that strange, too.
If I was a mom, I would never be like, come join me when you can at the shelter. I'd be like, come on, get up. We're leaving now. Let's go now. I'd never leave my children's side.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to get out of the house until the stuff already started falling. Like, as soon as he walked outside, he hears the whistling.
Yeah,
from the bombs.
It's like, it's late. It's way too late. Like, he was trying to collect more stuff. I think he had to cut that short and just throw, like, a bag on the ground and run out with his little sister. She walked out, and she was really calm, too. I just thought it was kind of bizarre. Maybe she's supposed to stay that way because he made a comment about how she had a bad heart. But I don't know. I wouldn't have acted like that if I was their mom.
Yeah. Then again, it's a different time. I mean, back then, like, little kids more was expected of them.
That's true. He did say he worked at, like, the steel mill or something, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. With his dad gone, he probably had to take more of a role in the house.
Yeah, see how lucky you kids are? Neither are you working at a steel mill right now. One thing I did notice about this was because of the way it was framed, with a scene I'm guessing it was a train station in the beginning, and all the hype, I was expecting this film to affect me more than it did. I've seen films that made me want to cry, and I was expecting this to be one of those. Did either of you shed any tears throughout this movie?
No. I didn't. I feel the same, sort of. I was expecting to cry because of how people talk about it, but it didn't make it was still really depressing.
It's brutally depressing. Mm-hmm. It's just
I guess when we've put off watching this movie for a really long time, and I guess when you let hear about it so much and it builds up over such a long period of time, your expectations kind of go farther than what can be delivered.
Right.
What's possible.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Liv, did you feel that way? I mean, you knew the reputation this film had, right?
Sorta. I knew it was gonna be sad.
Do you feel like it didn't live up to that, or? Because I remember, what was that other film that took place during World War II?
This Corner of the World.
You lost your mind. You were weeping.
Yeah.
Like weeping in that movie. And this one, I didn't hear a peep out of you.
And I started getting a little misty at the end because it was a little sad.
And Olivia was younger, and that movie was more of a spur of the moment. Like, we found it and we watched it. We didn't let its reputation get ahead of
I'd never even heard of that movie prior to this.
Neither.
Plus, they didn't telegraph anything. Like, when that girl, she loses her arm, right?
And her little niece, I think.
Yeah, that was like,
that was like abrupt. And we had no idea that was going to happen.
We're like sitting there with our mouths hanging open, like, what?
Yeah.
I feel like
it was definitely more shocking, whereas this one, it was sort of like you knew what was coming.
Yeah. So overall, I feel like that hurts the film in my eyes. They just telegraphed it, and yeah, part of that is my fault for letting myself get swept up in the whole, oh, this is the saddest movie you'll ever see. This will crush you. To the point where I'm going to say I was a little bored through some parts of this movie because I was just kind of waiting for something very tragic to happen, and it was just such a slow burn.
A little bit, yeah. Definitely it's delayed, or it stretches out throughout the movie.
Do you feel like Saito grew up during this whole thing?
I mean, he had to.
I know he had to, but do you...
He was put in a position where he had to, yeah, but,
Like his character arc, how would you describe that?
I don't know if we saw him, like, mature that much because, like we said, he already had to take up a big role, even before, like, you could see from before the movie starts. I mean, his mother entrusts a little baby sister to him, or the toddler sister to him, and he's always wearing that, like, uniform, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like...
I think he idolizes his dad.
He idolized
clearly.
his dad, yeah. When he found out that they lost, he's like, Dad, how could you? That's what he says when he runs out of the bank.
Yeah.
So I feel like he'd always been a child trying to act like an adult. I'm not sure he ever really grew into being an adult. He was still really young, and you could see that. So I don't know. I don't think that he matured. He had to take care of his sister, but I feel like he'd already sort of been doing that. I feel like we saw him at the same level throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of like he was thrust into this world where he had to grow up, but he really did not have the tools to do it. Yeah. All right. What would you give this film from 1 to 10?
Maybe a 7, because I'm not
7.
Shut up. Maybe a 7, because I wouldn't really say that I got bored. I can understand where you're coming from because it was sort of slow burn, but I still enjoyed it to some degree. I thought it was worth watching. Yeah, it was sad. It did make me feel sad. When a movie makes me feel something, I guess, yeah, I still think it's good. So I'd give it a 7, I think I said. I'll give it a 7.
Okay. Liv, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this?
I was 6. I was kind of bored during some parts of this movie, and I was like wondering, like, oh my god, when is this movie gonna be over?
What parts were dull for you?
Probably when they're like struggling to survive in that cave area. It's like, oh my god, please just get on with this.
I would probably give this film, I'd give this a 6. It's nicely animated. It's not the greatest. You could see that their skills have improved since this movie came out. But I think what really kind of hurt the story in my eyes was that little bit in the beginning. They really shouldn't have done that. They should have let us go on this journey where we see these kids, we're rooting for them to survive, and then we're basically crushed at the end.
Right.
And like the only happiness is that they're together in the afterlife.
That was nice. Maybe they should have cut that out too to sort of be more impactful, but I did sort of like that they were together, like walking around in some points of the film.
Yeah, I mean, that was the cute thing or the endearing thing about it was he genuinely loved his little sister and wanted to make sure that she was taken care of.
Right.
And wanted to make sure that she was basically hidden away or kept away from the harsh realities. Like he kept the mother's death a secret. And then
I think that might have also fueled his reasoning for not wanting to go back to the aunt. When Setsuko says, "Oh, Aunt told me that she's dead." Was that the first time he cries in the movie?
I think so. I feel like that moment he realizes he didn't have to hold back anymore because he was holding back for Setsuko's sake.
Yeah.
And once Setsuko basically says, "I know Mom's dead," it's like the wall comes down.
Yeah.
The floodgates open. So yeah, that was a great character moment for him. But yeah, I really wish they had put that whole sequence from the very beginning and saved it for the very end.
Right.
Because knowing what happens, you're kind of just spending the next hour and a half waiting for them to pass away.
Like you know it's coming.
All right. I guess that's it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join us again next week for another movie. Good night.
Good night.